Coming to you from the Yard Dawgs podcast studio. A show for the fans, by the fans. Talking all things Cleveland Browns. From our mic to your ears. With your hosts, Jason Hand, Mikey P, and Ian Cold Train Coldiron.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Yes, you are now in the yard. Is that how you say it, Coltrane? The yard.
In the yard.
In the yard. Welcome to the Yard Dawgs podcast, a show for the fans, by the fans. This is season 4, episode 125. I am your host, Jason Hand. The Yard Dawgs podcast is brought to you by Network 216. To check out all of our Ohio sports content, subscribe to our Network 216 YouTube channel. And joining me tonight, my co-host, my partner in crime, Ian Cold Train Coldiron. What's going on, Ian?
What's up?
And then below is our special guest of the evening. She and her dog, Ollie, are joining us from the oasis of her backyard, I'm assuming. But this is Yvette Laboy. Yvette, welcome to the Yard Dawgs podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. We had you on before. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were we your first podcast?
You guys were my first Twitter podcast. I did the NFL podcast, but this was my first Twitter podcast. Yes.
Her first Twitter Browns podcast. We'll just say that.
Yes.
For those of you who are wondering, Mikey P could not join us tonight. He had a family situation going on tonight, so he will be back next week, better than ever. Coltrane, it's good to see you again, buddy. We haven't seen each other for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we've just had a lot of stuff go down, man. It's been, obviously work, family. I'm sure a lot of you listeners, that follow, my Twitter page we're understanding that my daughter was in the ICU for 3 days. So that was a really hard time for me and my wife. That time too, I appreciate all the Browns community. They really came forth, a lot of DMs, a lot of messages my way. I think the one post I had went up to 30K. So I just want to take a minute actually, before the show started tonight and just say anybody who's watching that has been sending their prayers and their thoughts to me and my wife and my family at that time. Really, really appreciate it, man. You just never know. I even had, a heartfelt message for you, Jason. I even had a Browns fan offer me money for meals, for at the hospital. I mean, that's that kind of stuff. I'll have to just give him a shout out. It's Cam from Canada is his Twitter account. I'm sure a lot of you know him, but that's the kind of stuff that things happen in your life. Obviously, people will be there for you, but Browns fans especially that don't even know who you are. I've never met that dude in my life. And this guy's basically just telling me whatever I needed. If we wanted, to get takeout that night or DoorDash, it was on him. Browns community really is a solid community, man. I know a lot of people talk trash about other fan bases. You don't really know what your fan base is until
Wait a minute. Who talks trash about Browns fan base?
Oh,
everybody, pretty much.
Everybody.
But anyways, my final thought, I really do appreciate the Browns community. And like I said, they came through. And anybody that talks trash about the Browns fans, whatever, because trust me, I was down and out. They came through. They helped me out. And I appreciate all the love. So thank you.
I tell you, Coltrane, and it's always, as a parent, when you go through something like that, it's like the worst feeling in the world because you feel kind of hopeless, right? That's all you want to do is make your kid better. Yvette, you have a daughter, right? So when your kid's not feeling
my
well,
dog's digging a hole right now.
it's okay.
and I gotta it's so annoying. Ollie.
Yeah. But you just want your kid to get better, and it made my heart smile, Coltrane, when I saw on Facebook, because we're Facebook friends, when baby Kaya was smiling and laughing, that's awesome. There's no better feeling than to see your kid go from really sick to feeling better again. So
yeah.
Glad all your prayers were answered, man. We definitely a very tight community in Browns Twitter for sure. And shout out to Cam for offering that. So good stuff.
For sure, brother.
We do have some shout outs already on from YouTube, actually. Mitchell says, "Oh yeah, brownies, what's up?" Keith says, "Welcome back, Cold Train." And Drew says, shout out to my guy Ian. So you got 3 shout outs.
Oh, nice, man. Drew Shaw. I haven't seen him since high school, bro. That's
what?
I haven't talked to this guy since high school. That's what I love about podcasts, man. You never know who you're gonna run into on these things. I appreciate the view, Drew. Thank you, sir.
Welcome to the show, Drew. I don't know if this is your first time watching the Yard Dawgs podcast, but we're a show for the fans, by the fans, and we talk about Cleveland Browns, and we do have a special guest tonight, Miss Yvette Laboy. Let's go ahead and get into it. Yvette, you're active on Twitter. You got a lot of videos going on. You always seem happy, which is very refreshing on Browns Twitter in general, because there's so much bad news on Twitter, but that's not you. Like you bring joy to Browns Twitter. You are a part of Bougie Sports. And I've seen a little bit about what you got going on, but what's been going on lately with Bougie Sports?
Actually, a lot's been going on with it. I think so. I mean, it's just I don't think people understand that they're more bougie sports than they think they are. I think the name Bougie just has like a bad rep, you know, like they hear bougie and they're like, ugh. But bougie is just like us. We love our teams, and we're really extra about it. Like, I like to spend so much money on clothes and vintage, like, sports clothes and stuff like that. So, but it's going really well, and it's basically, I'm only going to do as much as people want me to do. So as long as I keep increasing in views and increasing in following, and people keep still giving me the positive feedback that they are, then I'm going to continue to do it. So it gets tiring, but I'm like, sometimes like people will just write me and they're like, oh, thank you so much because your videos get me through the day. Like, believe it or not, I'm like, wow. So I like doing it. And listen, I'm going to wear this shirt anyways, so I might as well just take a picture of me or do something with it. You know?
You know, Yvette, you bring up a good point. Sometimes, Coltrane, you know this, man. Sometimes putting out content like we do, whether it be in the form of a podcast or just posting, promoting stuff, can get tiring. And sometimes you're wondering, why am I even doing this? But then all of a sudden, you know, you get a message from somebody that says, man, I appreciate what you put out there. It's encouraging, you know, and it kind of charges your batteries, and then it makes you to where you can do it all over again. So I understand what you're saying, Yvette.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if I ever like came to a point where people weren't engaging with me, or I felt like I wasn't having an audience, and I don't care how much of an audience it is. To me, it's more about how many people engage with me. It's not about how many followers you have. It's how many people you talk to. Like, if I had 100,000 followers and I didn't know anyone, I don't want that. I'd rather have be a big fish in a small pond any day.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Coltrane, you can attest to this. We have done shows where virtually nobody was watching, and then we've done shows where thousands have watched. So we get both sides of it, but it's fun either way, because when you can get with the guys and talk football, talk Cleveland Browns, or just Cleveland sports in general, it's definitely a good time. I know for me personally, you know, with the Browns, especially during the season, you come off a tough loss and you just don't want to talk football at all. But I know firsthand, getting on this podcast has made me feel better. And then I'm ready for the next week. I know I can say that personally. So it does help.
Misery loves company, Jason.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
That's what it really comes up to.
Well, I also know, you know, just knowing a little bit about you, I know you're really big into fantasy football, and it might be a little early to start talking about fantasy football drafts and that sort of thing. But fantasy football, guys, as we know, is huge in the NFL. So I wanted to ask you, are there any players that we should be thinking about as our drafts are coming? Because it'll be here before you know it. in about 12 weeks, we're going to start, well, maybe a little more than that, maybe 14 weeks, we'll start preparing for our fantasy football draft. But are there any players that we should be on the lookout for the 2023 football season?
Yeah, sure. It will be here a lot quicker than when we think, and I think it's like right after the NFL draft is a good time to start preparing for your fantasy draft. And I don't think it is too early. I think it might be too early to start maybe targeting specific players, but it's not too early to come up with a strategy or just think about what you want to do in your draft. As far as I'm doing my first dynasty. Have you guys ever played dynasty fantasy before?
I've never played.
No, I don't think so.
Mikey P has, but I never have. No.
Okay. So I've never played. I usually do just more like a redraft leagues, but I started my first dynasty fantasy league, and the way you draft in that is so different than a redraft league. So it's really hard to give people, players. I guess it would depend on what type of league that you're in. If you're like in a regular redraft league, who should you be targeting? Well, you should be targeting studs that that are going to do good. I think what people mess up on are the cute picks, like maybe Bijan Robinson this year. My cat's trying to get in here because we don't know, everybody's really high on Bijan. But I think when you take risk like that, you don't know how it's going to pan out for you. So my advice would be is go into your draft with that first pick, getting someone you're gonna put in the slot, and they're just gonna consistently give you those points that you need.
Yeah, typically in the money league that I'm in, usually you'll have like the first 5 or 6 picks are all running backs. That's usually what they do. They get the running backs, and then once the top tier of the bell cow running backs fall off the board, then you usually go like the number 1 wide receiver. But Coltrane in the Network 216, I don't think you're involved in that fantasy football draft, but Zach DeFranco, he picked Justin Jefferson like early, and it surprised me
overall.
Yes, like early. And it surprised me, but it worked out well for him. He ended up having a good squad. So I guess there's different strategies that work. You don't have to just go with pick the best running back. Some people I've seen pick quarterbacks in the first round. I don't know. Usually that works out. I don't think I would have that
never works
balls
out.
to do it. Yeah, that usually doesn't
Don't ever do that. Yeah,
I wouldn't do that. But I've seen it happen.
Picking Justin Jefferson overall, there is an argument to be made where you can do that. I wouldn't take him like as an overall pick, but maybe I would take him with maybe my 4th or 5th pick. With someone like that, it's kind of hard for them to like copy what they did the year before. He's been really good. Is he going to be that good this year?
Right.
I don't know. I think people typically like to target those running backs because there's not that many stud running backs. You have what we have this year. We have maybe CMC and Jonathan Taylor. There's only a few that would take that early, but I don't know. You never know.
Yeah, CMC going to the 49ers and being in the Kyle Shanahan system, that gets me excited for this year because, he just seems like he fits right in that offense. I don't know what week it was that he went to the 49ers. I want to say like week 6 or something like that. But, man, I think he's going to have a tremendous year. I don't know. Where does he even rank in the fantasy football wide receivers, running backs right now?
I think he's still up there with the number 1 pick as of right now.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then like the rookie Bijan Robinson, like you said, he's going to be up there. They're comparing him to like a Alvin Kamara, type running back. So,
yeah, because he's especially in a PPR league because he catches the ball a lot. So I'm definitely looking at him. It depends on where I am. I hate having the first pick. Because I would never want to pick CMC because if I picked him, he'd get hurt. So, and then there goes my draft.
How many Browns players are draft worthy? Because there's a lot of good players that aren't drafted in fantasy football. It's not like real football, but how many players on the Browns roster are draft worthy?
Well, Nick Chubb is definitely draft worthy. That's someone you can consistently put into a slot. I think Amari Cooper is probably draft worthy. I don't know where, but somebody that I targeted in my Dynasty League actually is Dave Njoku. I think that this year, as far as the tight end position, I really feel like this might be his year, like I think I've said that several times, but I don't know how he's going to work with Deshaun Watson. So I think that might be a good person to look at for your fantasy teams in that tight end position. That's one of the hardest positions to fill in.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson could be a fly under the radar QB in fantasy football. Like, your Josh Allen's or, those Patrick Mahomes, those guys are going to go first as far as quarterbacks, but Deshaun Watson, you could probably get him, in the late rounds, like, I don't know, 13th round, maybe something like that.
No way.
Not if you're in a league with
me,
because I would definitely be snagging him before the 13th round. But if he makes it that far, then definitely. I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback this year.
Do you?
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't really think there'll be that many people that will throw as many yards as him. I bet you he'll end up in the top 10 for sure. And in a fantasy perspective, I think he's going to be a great pick. But I don't think you should target any quarterback early.
I think I'm tainted a little bit because, like, the national media, they don't talk about Cleveland Browns at all, and they certainly don't talk about Deshaun Watson. So,
yeah,
I'm wondering if he'll be like a fly under the radar type quarterback.
Man, I hope so, because I would love to see them kiss his ass.
For fantasy. This is fantasy.
For everything. Right, I mean, I know it's going to happen.
Like, he's going to ball out in real world, so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into some Browns news. Before we do that, I just have to do a little housekeeping. The Yard Dawgs podcast and Network 216 are proud partners with Homage, the apparel company. If you haven't tried Homage yet, you're definitely missing out. Homage is always coming out with on-point, cutting-edge sports apparel. Showing support for your team doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. As a bonus, you'll get special discounts using our link to shop at Homage. Support this show and do it in style by shopping for all of your favorite sports team gear at Homage. You can find the link on our website, network216ohio.com, or you can look for the Homage link on our Twitter page at Yard Dawgs Pod. Shop Homage today. I am wearing a Homage shirt right now, and you can tell. Oh, here it is. You can tell by the little patch there, the H Homage patch. And Coltrane, you have the NFL Jams. Who's that? Myles Garrett?
Yeah, Garrett and Chubb. I thought it was fitting with the recent signing for Garrett. So
I love it.
I love Homage. I love them. They are the best. They are the absolute best people. I love working with them, and they're awesome. So I agree with them.
I was going to say.
Stuff. You can use their link, but I don't care whose link you use. Just go. They have the coolest stuff. I love it.
Yeah. Just shop at Homage. I mean, here's what I always say. Like, Yvette, have you ever bought a shirt like from a website, like an NFL website? I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to down anybody, but like you wear it and it's really cool, and then you put it in the wash and the dryer, and then it doesn't fit anymore. Does that ever happen to you, or is it just me?
No.
It sucks when it happens. Like it's the best shirt ever. Like this is my favorite shirt, and then you wash it and dry it, and it's like, oh, this is for my little brother now. Not with Homage,
I actually try to shrink my shirt, so.
Yeah. I've washed this shirt maybe 20 or 30 times, and it still fits the same way. So check out Homage, guys. We definitely appreciate the support. Let's get into some Browns news. We got to lead off with this one. So I don't know how many days ago, it was like just a couple days ago, but the Browns trade, like, this just came out of nowhere for me. I knew they were going to add probably more defensive line depth, but I didn't know they were going to do this. They actually trade for edge rusher Za'Darius Smith from the Vikings. And Coltrane, Yvette, it felt a little bit like the Amari Cooper trade last year when we traded for like a bag of peanuts. I think we gave him like a 5th round pick.
I think I'm too far back.
I can hear you. Can you hear it, Coltrane?
Yep.
All right.
This felt a little bit like a Amari Cooper trade. I mean, the Browns get Za'Darius Smith, and then the Vikings get. So we get Smith in a 2025 6th and 7th round pick. I think it was what it was. The Vikings get 2 5ths, like this next draft, this next year's 5th, and then the 5th after that. It wasn't a lot, man. And then they even covered part of his contract. Like, I think $1.3 million of his contract for this year, which just kind of sweetened the pot to me. But I wanted to get your guys' reactions. Yvette, I'll start with you since you're a special guest. Like, what did you think of that trade for the Browns and the Minnesota Vikings?
Super Bowl! Yes! I was like, say what? I'm Myles Garrett. I don't want to mess up his name.
Za'Darius.
Za'Darius. Come on. I wouldn't want them coming after me. That's all I have to say. Can you imagine being a quarterback and thinking that those two are coming after you? That's all I could think about. Let's go.
What about you, Coltrane? What did you think about that? Your reaction?
I mean, I was like any other Browns fan. I think I texted probably 10 of my homeboys. Even my mother was one of them included. And I, messaged, something along the lines of "Holy shit!" You just don't see moves like this in May, especially not as a Browns fan. I think this offseason for me has been the offseason that I feel like we all were hoping for last year. But obviously with Deshaun's suspension, it took a risk, to that and that unfolding. But when I got this message or whatever, this update, I'm thinking to myself, they're finally grabbing people for now. They're finally it's almost like they finally believe we're there, and they're grabbing the players that we wanted them to grab 2-3 years ago. And what I will say, obviously, I've seen the few clips from Za'Darius today and Berea. This dude's happy to be here, man. I mean, when do you ever see players, free agents that are embracing the city of Cleveland like it's something to see? I mean, this guy's excited to come here, man. But like I said, man, this situation, picking him up, amazing. I thought we had depth before we traded for him. Now I think we have really great depth. I actually have a lot of questions, to be honest with you, as far as the roster. Like, I don't know if Alex Wright even plays. I mean, there's a couple of guys that I thought were going to get a lot of PT, but now with adding him, I don't really know where they fit in. And that's good. That's a good depth to have. It's a good question to have. But like I said, this was big news for us, big shocking news. You had, once the schedule was revealed, you had 3 AFC North teams in the first 4 games. It's like a chess game. You have to compete with your people in your division or in your teams in your division. You have to add chess pieces like this, even late in May, to make your roster a little bit better than theirs, or try to be, better on paper to where we can match up better with them. And I love the call, because you're going up against Joe Burrow. You're going up against Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? You're going up, I'm not going to include the other guy. You're going up against quarterbacks that are pretty freaking good, dude. Yeah. You're going up against, I don't mention that guy's name,
You don't like Kenny Pickett, Yvette.
But anyways,
I can finally see you.
You're going up against great quarterbacks in this division, and they're going to be barn burner games this whole season. You need a guy like Za'Darius Smith that's going to take the opposition out. And I'll end with this. I think Za'Darius Smith will be the signing that we all were hoping Clowney was going to be. A guy that's going to capitalize on one-on-ones, a guy that's going to just take advantage of any type of open lane to the quarterback, and he's going to get double-digit sacks, and Jim Schwartz is going to be a reason for that. And like I said, he will be looking like how we thought Clowney was going to be the last 2 seasons. So,
before I make my point, I want to give a shout out to the Dog Chug. They sent me this beer mug, and you know what? It's my favorite beer mug. I have a lot of beer mugs. This is now my favorite. It moved to the top of the line. So shout out to them, the Dog Chug. And isn't that cool little beer mug?
Yeah.
I think it is. Got to have a good beer mug.
They didn't send me it.
Well, wow. you need to ask. You need to say, you sent Jason
that is so rude.
A beer mug, and you need to send me one, and I'm sure they will. They're good guys over there.
You guys have just become my favorite new podcast on Network 216. Used to be the Dog Chug, but not anymore, because I don't have a glass with my beer in.
Oh, okay. So this is my point. Yvette, you just mentioned Network 216. One of the cool things that Network 216 does and has been doing is they put out short videos on YouTube almost daily. Like, they did a lot of draft stuff. But Jacob Roach, he's actually on the show coming up after this, the Barking Brown Show with Jacob Roach and Nick Cons. He had put out a short yesterday on the Za'Darius Smith trade, and he brought up a good point that I really didn't think about too much, but he thinks the big winner in this is going to be Dalvin Tomlinson. Because if you think about it, man, like if the offensive line, if they're going to double the linemen, the defensive linemen, it's probably going to be Za'Darius Smith and Myles Garrett. You can't double everybody. So Tomlinson, man, he might go off, dude. Like Za'Darius Smith, I think he had 10 sacks last year. Myles Garrett, I don't know how many sacks he had last. Was it 16 or something like that? I mean, he's going to eat. He's going to get his sacks. But Dalvin Tomlinson, he might be aces on this. And I'll tell you who else is excited is Jim Schwartz. Like, he's got to be super excited about and I know he's had his hand in a lot of these moves for defense. Like, he met with Stefanski, I'm sure, and AB, and he said, okay, this is what I want. This is kind of my shopping list. And kudos to AB, went out and got it. I mean, down to Juan Thornhill, like they made some moves this year on the defensive side of the ball. And I'll end with this. Last year, the Browns ranked total defense was 14th. Well, the run, they're 25th on the run, 25th of the whole league stopping the run. I think they're going to be a lot better this year. I really do. I think with the additions of our defensive line and of Jim Schwartz, if Coltrane, we talked about this pre-show, man. If our defense was just a little bit better last year, we're a playoff team. And I think we're going to be a lot better this year. So I think it's playoffs this year, most definitely. And this is all on paper, but that's all we got to go by right now is on paper. But I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the roster, and I don't see many holes.
It's playoffs or bust. You have to be thinking like that, brother. They are in Berea right now, and we are as well. I mean, as fans, it's playoffs or bust. Absolutely, dude. The roster we have is built to last. So let's just see some wins, man. That's all we really need as fans, dude. It's just deliver with some wins.
Yes.
I think with this roster now, there's no more excuses, and we're ready to see. We're ready now. Like, the building stage is over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
We gave you guys last year what you did to us in the quarterback situation.
The 30-year rebuild. Yeah.
Yeah. So you owe me this year. You freaking owe me the playoffs. You owe me more than that. But at least we're going to the playoffs. At least.
Doesn't it feel different? Like this offseason, doesn't it feel different in years past?
Well, it
certainly feels different than last year. Last year was probably one of the worst off seasons I can remember.
Yeah, because we were
all the it's almost to the point where I think the Browns are starting to get back where they're getting hyped again, which I don't like. I think I heard today somebody said, speaking about our defense now, that it was maybe the third ranked defense now. With the additions that we made, and it kind of gets scary. I kind of liked it last year when everybody hated us. I don't want it to get back to the point where everyone's like, oh, the Browns are looking really good again, because people love to see us fail. They really do. I like being the underdog. That's why I love being a Browns fan, and I cannot wait to come in and kick everyone's ass this year. Everyone's.
Yeah, fear not, because some of the articles and stuff I was reading, Yvette, is they're still trashing on Cleveland. So don't worry, it's about 50-50, I promise you, because the other half is still they're and what's wrong for that is they're really giving Deshaun a 6-game trial. I mean, a lot of these writers and these analysts, it's like, you guys are really gonna give us a bottom finish in the division based off 6 games and a guy that didn't play football for 2 years. But again, I guess just to bounce off of what she was saying, on that note, please keep it coming. Talk crap about our QB. Say he ain't good enough, because that ought to just be motivation for Deshaun and his work ethic. And hopefully he shows on the field that he's the freaking man. Because trust me, the negativity is definitely still out there, and I'm sick of reading, and I can't believe people are judging this dude off 6 freaking games. Dude.
They love to be right. Even our own fan base that wants to be negative, sometimes they get off when we lose. They actually get off on it. I think it's almost like foreplay for them. We're stuck. We're gonna lose all these games. They love it. They love it. They love to see it. They love to see it.
Yeah.
So part of the reason is they want to be right because, when we got Deshaun Watson, there was, with his contract at that time, now, not this year maybe now because all the other contracts, but it was just something to hate on. So they want to keep us down. They're going to be really mad this year because we're going to be really good. And so annoying and obnoxious. Let's please be annoying and obnoxious. Like, so every single game we win, we're going to be like, yeah, we're awesome. We're better than you. You suck. I don't care if we're talking to the Chiefs. They suck.
Shout out from the Denny's menu guy. Who's that, Coltrane?
That's Brian. It's Brian Music, man. What are you talking about? It's our old pal Brian Music. He just got love on the Browns Twitter account. He's a celebrity again.
He's a celebrity again. Did he? What's the story, dude? I don't know if this is supposed to be like public, but did he run into some like Browns social media people and he told them who he was and they're like super pumped and wanted to?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to share this?
Yeah, of course. It's
did they?
Wait a minute. Are we like sharing
Twitter.
some tea?
Yes.
You were going to start before I came back? How rude.
All right. So Brian Music, he's best man in Coltrane's wedding. Like he's a friend of his.
Okay.
He was the Denny's menu guy. Did you see this last year on Twitter? Like the Denny's menu guy, like he held a menu up in the crowd and he got
Monday Night Football was when he got his 5 seconds of fame. It was on Monday night, the Monday night game.
You didn't see this, Yvette? Was this? Do you know who this? Okay. Wow, didn't make it all the way around Twitter. But anyways, he got a lot of publicity. I think he was on Good Morning Football, ESPN. Like he was all over.
Wow.
And so I actually sent him a Denny's. Like I went on the Denny's website and I sent him like a huge yellow robe that has Denny's on the back, and like I gave him some Denny's swag, if you will, because that kind of stuff just doesn't happen to guys like us. But he got his 15 minutes of fame. But the Cleveland Browns social media, they reposted the Denny's menu guy on the Facebook, right?
Yeah, and it was something like waiting on the schedule or something. Like it was like right the day before, maybe an hour before the schedule got released. They posted that.
But he runs into some Brown social media guys at a Guardians game, I think it was.
Yeah,
he showed them who he was, and they got excited. They already knew who he was, and I think they invited him on a cruise ship for the Browns fans.
What?
Yeah.
No one's invited me on a cruise ship.
I know. No one's invited me either.
Give me a freaking Denny's menu. I like market. Does it have to be Denny's? Give me any freaking menu. Look, I got a book right here.
Yeah.
Nobody's calling me.
But shout out to Brian Music. I'm going to be in Cleveland August 2nd through the 6th for the Hall of Fame game and the Joe Thomas induction.
I'm gonna be there too.
My dad and I are going to be there. I'm meeting Brian in the flats.
His award.
Do what?
I'm giving Joe Thomas his Hall of Fame award.
Are you?
Do they get awards or what do they get?
Well, they just get inducted in the Hall of Fame with
I'm inducting him.
I thought it was his wife. I think his wife is doing it.
Ah, snap. Fine.
But anyways.
Did you say you were meeting Brian in the flats?
I am meeting Brian in the flats. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
All I gotta say, my friend, is get your drinking. Get your what do you call your numbers up, because that guy, he'll drink it. He's like he belongs on that dog show at the end of the night or whatever on Network 216. Dog Chug. He's a drinker, man.
He says
he definitely can hang.
The Denny's guy is a drinker.
Yeah, he's a huge drinker. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cheers to Denny's guy. I mean, who doesn't like my nose over my hammy? What's it called?
Moons over my
hammy.
Yeah, I think everyone's gotten that. If you haven't gotten moons over my hammy in one time in your life, I think you haven't lived in America.
At 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't Hasselhoff some chicken fingers at Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning, I mean, did you really live?
Well, and especially for Clevelanders, Yvette, if you travel like an ATL or California, there's a bunch of stuff open. If you're in Cleveland, pretty much Denny's might be your only option in some cities. So definitely Denny's is very familiar with our
Denny's
Cleveland
here
blood.
in Denny's isn't open anymore in Youngstown. It's kind of sad. I know. Do you know what I really miss? I know this is really random. I'm going off subject here. It's TGI Fridays. Do you guys have a TGI Fridays?
Yes, we do.
We don't have one. Well, we used to have one in Boardman, and it's been gone for quite many years, and I've really been thinking about it. So I'm gonna have to. Anyways.
All right. So my last Denny story. This is like 20 years ago. I was young. It's 2:30 in the morning. Denny's is the only option. We get in there, order our food, and somebody had the brilliant idea to have a syrup chugging contest. You know, the syrup containers that are on the. Yep. So 2:30 in the morning, we're chugging syrup. That didn't end well, but that's my story.
You were looking like the hot chip Ian off the show recently, Jason. You were looking like me when I eat the hot chip. Is that what you were saying?
Pretty much. All right, let's get it back into some Browns talk so that way we don't lose our audience here. Real quick, guys, we just mentioned this is happening quick. Did you guys see any of the videos? The Browns rookie mini camp is off. We got to see our Browns draft picks in action. Cedric Tillman. I mean, that was a guy that I saw. He was working the jugs machine, and the quarterback Dorian Thompson Robinson. That's who it is. Dorian Thompson Robinson. He was throwing them passes. So you just see little snippets of it. But I thought it was cool, man, to see your draft picks in action. What did you guys see, or what did you guys get out of it?
I didn't see much of it. Just a little bit on Twitter, like the rookies.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't a lot of content out there. I know Cameron Justice tweeted a couple. I think she might have tweeted videos. That might have been Mary Kay, actually.
The content that stuck out to me was DeJuan Jones working with Callahan, man. First of all, just the size difference of him versus DeJuan Jones is hilarious to me to see. I mean, the dude's 6'8", but just seeing him get his hands on him, and I don't really look too much of the rookie mini camp just because a lot of it's photos. They don't want you to see what they're trying to do with them. I saw a couple of clips, but you don't really see much. I'll look forward to when training, like the actual OTAs start, and we'll get more familiarity with the players. But it was cool to see like Schwartz kind of see some of the defensive guys. And like I said, if Callahan, I'll tell you what, they were saying issues with DeJuan, and that's why he fell so far to us. But if there's one man that can help that dude become the Thanos that this guy believes he is at 6'8", it's Callahan. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see those two work together and definitely for years to come.
Yeah, they had that it looked like tow rope bungee cords, like strapped to the waist. Yeah. And
he was getting on him.
He was
already.
So when you're trying to teach somebody something, you almost have to get on them right away, so that way they don't develop bad habits. A coach like Bill Callahan, I mean, he's going to get them right and he's going to get them good. So
I hope so, because we need somebody to discipline their asses.
Yes,
I want someone they're going to be scared of, in respect.
Well, it's an important position. I mean, they're protecting our biggest investment, Deshaun Watson. I mean, you got to protect that guy. That's why it's a comfort to know that, not only is Bill Callahan our coach, but we also drafted a couple offensive linemen. Like AB knows that it's not just the defense he had to fix. Like he had to draft offense and defense, So, and I think he did a good job with both with the picks that we had. Right. I mean, if you look at it, even our second round pick that we were supposed to have, he traded that to the Jets and got a wide receiver. So really our first two picks were wide receiver on the offensive side of the ball, which was really cool, man. Really cool. What
was really cool is that we really didn't have to care about the draft. That was what was really cool.
That was kind of cool. You're right.
I'm like, okay, yeah, but it's not like, oh my God, how it typically usually was, where we really were looking for that first round draft person to, come and save us, like Baker Mayfield, come and save us.
You're right. I mean, by the time the draft rolled around, we didn't have a pick till the third round. Now I did watch I mean, I watched it on TV. I watched the first round, and the second night I watched the second and third round. But honestly, Saturday, we were out doing kids sports stuff. I was just keeping up with the updates. I really didn't watch it too much on Saturday, but from the picks that I saw, I mean, you never know, right? I mean, the real draft grades, I mean, they're out now, but you're really going to know after this year and the following year how we did on our draft picks. But to me, I mean, I think they look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, how could you grade something that hasn't started?
Right.
Like I like this, and that's what's so good about this year too, is not really too worried about our draft picks. I mean, I'm happy for the new additions to the team, but like I said, that's not, we're not looking for someone to come down and save us. We didn't put the bat signal up, like, please help us. We're good. We're just looking for people to join us in our Super Bowl winning team. We're just come join us in the winning circle over here.
That's right.
Yes. But anyway, I'm going to be winning this year, whether or not we win or lose, because I'm going to act like we win every single game.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win. Before the show, I was kind of sad because I've had this football in my podcast room for like a couple of years, but it's Greedy Williams. He was a second round pick in 2019. He's not on our team anymore. I think he's with the Eagles now. But
see, exactly. There you go. Remember when we drafted him? Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Greedy! Oh, Greedy!" Now,
I mean, even OBJ was excited about Greedy.
I mean, I was excited about Greedy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited about everybody. I mean, I don't care. I'll admit it. I thought he was off. I mean, he just wasn't that great, was he?
No, I mean, he just. I think he could have been, but.
When Odell, didn't he come in? Odell and Jarvis were on the team, and they all came back. They all from Louisiana or whatever. So we were like, yeah, we got all those guys. And then, did he get hurt? Didn't he get hurt though? Did he get hurt or something?
A lot. Yeah. Yeah. Greedy Williams got hurt a lot, which was not good. So, but hopefully he'll have a good career in Philly. Wish nothing but the best for him, but just sad, we're so excited about him and then nothing. So, all right. I want to get into this because we got about less than 20 minutes. The Browns, the schedule release. I know you guys pay attention to this. I did. I'll have to start with this. I wasn't surprised that we didn't get a lot of primetime games because I think secretly, like the NFL, they don't like the Browns. I certainly know national media doesn't like the Browns. So it didn't surprise me when we didn't get a lot of primetime games. I mean, we got a Monday night game, and of course, we got a Thursday night football game. But what stood out to you when the schedule was released? I mean, I'll start with you, Yvette. Like, is there anything that stood out to you as far as our schedule, how they stacked it, our opponents, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think like the first thing that I'm looking for when the schedule comes out is who are we playing first at home? Because that's my favorite game to go to. Like, I love going to our first home opener. So I think we kind of knew it was going to be the Bengals. I think that's going to be a really fun way to start the season, like competitive. I think we're going to win. I really think that. I don't think they're that good. I know they made it to the Super Bowl, but I mean, any given Sunday, like I say, any team can make it to the Super Bowl if you win in the right spots. I think the Browns are better. So I'm excited to kick their ass week 1.
I mean, it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier, Coltrane, with the additions that we made on the defensive line, especially this last addition with Za'Darius Smith. That's going to help us big time against teams like the Bengals. The last thing you want to do is give Joe Burrow all the time in the world. Like, you want to create chaos back there and destroy his timing and throw him off a little bit. And I think that the Browns, open up with the Bengals. We kind of, I don't know. I saw a leak before the schedule came out, and I saw someone say that, looks like we're going to play the Bengals. So I was like, yeah, we actually are. So what stood out to you, Coltrane?
Well, I mean, first of all, they didn't do us any favors. Originally with obviously the information that, we had the weakest schedule or whatnot, like looking at the schedule as a whole. I mean, obviously those teams that were maybe weak last year picked up, good free agents or good draft. Like, I don't really see any easy wins on this schedule overall. But what stuck out to me was basically the gauntlet that we have to serve up week 1 through 4.
You don't think the Steelers are going to be an easy win? Wait,
No.
let's get
No,
this. I'll throw
because
out some easy wins. I could definitely see some easy wins. I think you're being a little bit like the people that are saying like the schedule is so hard. I don't see where you're. I mean, I see a little bit of hard, but I'm not scared. Why are we scared? Who is that big that's on the 49ers or the Jets? The Jets. Fuck the Jets.
I'm not scared, but
we gave them a win last year. I don't understand why people think it's so hard. Am I like?
I'm not saying it's a hard schedule. You're not letting me finish. But anyways, the first four is a gauntlet of division rivals. I'm not saying the Steelers are going to roll us. I'm just saying these division opponents, they're always barn burners. They're
Always tough.
Close, no matter who you play, whether it's the Bengals, Steelers, Ravens. These teams it's always going to be a close game no matter what, unfortunately. And especially if you're a Cleveland fan, that's usually how it goes. So anyways, to start off your schedule, basically at home with the Bengals, then you go play prime time at Steelers' house. If it was at home, of course, I'd feel a lot more comfortable about it. But again, the Steelers are going to play us hard. We're going to play them hard. Then you play the Titans at home, and then you end it with Lamar Jackson and Odell and that new regime and the Ravens. Same thing with the Ravens, So I'm not saying as a whole it's necessarily a tough schedule, but all I'm saying is those first four are pretty tough right out the gate. We have to be at least 2-2 or 3-1 for me to feel comfortable. And it's going to be tough. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying.
Relax, dude. We can agree to disagree. I'm not going to have the same opinions. You think it's going to be tough? I don't think it's going to be that tough. Only time will tell. Let's see how tough it's going to be. I'm not like in the AFC North. I really feel like the Browns are really at the top of the North. I don't account last year's team. I'm kind of feeling like last year. I guess I'm just kind of seeing as Deshaun Watson where he should be against these teams with our new things. So,
I will say this. I watched Good Morning Football this morning, and Chris Hubbard was on there. You guys remember Chris Hubbard? He's trying to find a job right now as an offensive lineman, but he was on there, and they were asking his opinion. They asked him to rank the AFC North, and I don't think they thought he was going to say the Browns, but he did. He goes, dude, you guys may not be covering this a lot, but all the additions the Browns made this offseason, like they have made some solid moves. He goes, I don't look at the Bengals being the top of the AFC North. I look at the Browns to be the top of the AFC North. And that kind of got me. I was like, wow. And I know that he used to play here, but he's played for a couple of teams in the AFC North. He didn't have to say that. And he is looking for a job, but I don't know. I thought that was noteworthy to mention that Chris Hubbard, he picked the Browns to be at the top of the AFC North.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the mental game, too. Like, as far as the Bengals, they don't play well against the Browns. And I think that has to do a little bit, too, but being psyched up against playing them because they don't ever play well against Browns. I think that has a lot to do why we suck against the Steelers. It's like they're like that team that we can't, they can't beat us. Like, we can't beat the Steelers for some reason. Like, we should be able to beat the Steelers, but I don't know. Like this year, we're going to beat them twice, though. Right.
I think I'm like in between your guys' thoughts. Like, you guys have differing opinions, but I'm with Coltrane as far as the NFL didn't do us any favors because, like, 3 of our first 4 games are interdivision, like in our division. And yes, we have the Bengals number, but I think they beat us the last time we played them. Like, the Bengals are going to be can we all agree the Bengals are going to be a tough win week 1? I mean, that's going to be a tough win. You don't think so, Yvette? You think we'll roll them?
I mean, when has it been? Have they beat us more than once?
Well, Joe Burrow has beat us once.
Yeah. So
I get it, but I think that's going to be a tough win. And the Steelers, I think Browns fans were writing the Steelers off last year, and I was too. But man, they have hung around, dude. Like they didn't like hit the basement. Like, I thought they were going to totally suck last year, but they've actually were pretty decent. And then we actually finished in the basement, right? I mean, the Steelers finished above us. So I think it's going to be a tough game against the Steelers. Now the Titans, are they starting the rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson? Are they going with him? Are they going Tannehill? I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure about that one. And then of course you have the Ravens. So that's a tough first 4 games, I'm with you, Coltrane, as far as like if we can find a way to be 2-2, I think we'll be okay going into the bye. But what are your thoughts? I mean, Yvette, when you look at the first 4 games, here's the thing, like 3 of them are at home. So we play Bengals at home, at Steelers, Titans, and Ravens. Like, where do you think we'll fall in the first 4 games?
I mean, out of those games, I think the hardest one is the Ravens. If I could, yeah, the Bengals. Yeah, we know Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are good. Yeah, they're good, but we beat them before. Everybody's gonna be coming in fresh. Our quarterback's gonna have a whole year now training with our team. We're not gonna have like 6 games. It's and he's already out there. He's already been showing up, so he's getting prepared. And I'm hoping that he's feeling like I'm at where we don't want to get beaten. We don't want people to like think that. We want, hope they're like coming in there and going to kick their ass. The Steelers, I hate if they win, I wouldn't be shocked because they always seem to win. I don't know if it's more of a coaching thing with them, or I don't know if Mike Tomlin's that good or what it is that good. Is their defense that good? But I mean, of course I have to give them, they kick our ass every year. So hopefully we get that one. The Ravens, I don't care. Listen, I don't work for ESPN. I'm Yvette from Youngstown, Ohio. I think Lamar Jackson fucking sucks. I say that and people don't agree with me. I think he's a running quarterback. I don't think he's that great. I think he's broke back mountain. He's about to get I just don't feel like he's that amazing. I mean, what did they get? OBJ? Okay, yeah. Do you want him back? I did for a second, but I don't know. They're good. Trust me. I know. I'm so sorry for being so positive. I can't help it. But I could say we have a tough Tennessee. I don't think it's Anthony Schwartz is their quarterback, right? I think he went to the Colts, right?
Yeah, Drew in Brick City set me straight. He's absolutely right. Will Levis went to Tennessee. Richardson to the Colts. I'm still trying to get all this down. Yeah. But will it be Will Levis or Tannehill? I don't know. Who knows? But I think that the first 4 games are going to be tough. I think 2-2 would be good. 3-1 would be fantastic. 1-3 would be horrible. But I think any one of those 3 scenarios can happen. Obviously, with the Bengals, we want to start off on the right note. We're not famous for winning our first game of the year, but it is versus the Bengals. We know that team very well. It is at home, so we have that going for us. I don't know if Coltrane, Yvette, are you guys going to be at week 1?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you? Nice. What about you, Coltrane?
Yeah, I go to every opener every year.
Yeah.
Nice. And Denny's menu guy will be there.
I know Denny's menu guy will be there. He'll probably get 2 free tickets. I told you, if it ain't people giving him stuff, he does all those Twitter stuff where he retweets people and he ends up winning the tickets every freaking time, dude. He just goes down. He'll have better seats than me. And I'm a season ticket holder. So I gotta start living the Brian life, dude. Like he's got to teach us the ways for real.
Yeah, but in the Ravens, we've always had problems with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I get your point, Yvette. He's a winner, man. He just wins ball games. He finds a way to win. They just signed OBJs, so this is one reason why I'm glad that AB saw that we had to fix the defense. I talked about our rankings earlier, and he saw that, and he brought in Jim Schwartz, and Jim Schwartz gave him his grocery list, said, this is what I need. And AB went out and got him what he needed, and we revamped the defense. So that's going to help us, right? I think that
question. As the rosters as a whole, those 4 games, you're saying that, is it that you don't believe in the Browns to win those games because they always choke, or do you not believe that that our team is as good as those teams?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, as a Browns fan, I guess I'm saying that we haven't seen it on the field yet. We're just talking about on paper right now, and until I see the Browns go into Pittsburgh and kick the shit out of them, until I see the Browns beat the Bengals handedly, until I see the Browns sack Lamar Jackson 4 times and just beat. I have to see that. Is that okay for me to say that? I mean, we've been watching this team for a long time, and we're all faithful Browns fans. But I want to see it, and I can't wait for that first game against the Bengals because I do think that we can win that game, and I'm probably going to predict them to win that game. But I want to see all this on the field. Does that make sense? Is that fair?
It makes complete sense, dude. We've been waiting to see that. I mean, look at even that one primetime game with the Ravens where he comes back, takes his shit, comes back out. We all know that game. I mean, this is typical Cleveland freaking, history, dude. Like, this stuff happens to us all the time. So, yeah, you're completely okay with thinking. And I'm even looking at this schedule, guys, that Steelers Monday night. I don't like that it's at fucking Pittsburgh just because I don't like road games as is, and it's a primetime game, and it's the Steelers defense and Tomlin, they always seem to play us well. So it's just like, yeah, I'm a little concerned because we've never the games that you want them to go in there and kick their ass. Something crazy happens, but I'll try to.
We could be winning by like 80 points, and the Steelers will come back. Like, I will never believe that we're gonna win when it comes to like a Steelers game. And I think it's like the Steelers against any team, not just the Browns. Like they're like lucky team. They always just come in. Like the first half could be horrible, and they're one of those teams that close in the second half, where I feel like we're the difference, where we like show up good, and then we just like choke.
Yeah, like I'll be honest with you guys. When Roethlisberger retired, I was hoping the Steelers would go into like a decade trying to find their quarterback, and maybe Kenny Pickett's not it. I don't know. I hope he's not it.
This year.
But the Steelers find a way to still win ball games, and they don't fall like the Browns. Like the Browns' shit season is not the Steelers' shit season. That's all.
And you know what it is, Jason, and I finally realized this. I'm giving him the respect that he deserves. Tomlin always has their defense playing well. And if you look at all the games that they won that they weren't supposed to win, that we all thought they were going to get dogged, they won like 13-10 or fucking 8-6. Like just horrible like defensive battles to where they, like she just mentioned, they were still hanging in. They were still hanging in though because their defense was still making plays at the right time. So that's really what I hate about that Steelers team so much is people don't really respect Tomlin, as much as they should. Their defense always just plays well every freaking year.
And TJ Watt like 9 wins. Teeing off on our quarterback, like pinning his ears back, and I'm sick of that. So
yeah, he always plays Cleveland well.
I don't know
why, but I'm hoping Watson can change that. And we'll go back to what you're talking about, Jason. Maybe he will go into Pittsburgh and shit on him. I mean, I think we all want that. As fans, we've been waiting for it for 30 years.
Just want to see it, man. And we had a glimpse of it. To be fair, a couple years ago, we made the playoffs. We beat Pittsburgh in Week 17 to make the playoffs. And then we beat them in the wild card game. Like that was our first taste of, okay, this is what it feels like to be on the other side. And
it really felt good, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah. It really felt so good. Yeah,
really
we need that feeling back. I cannot wait. I want that back.
Yeah, and guys, I hope I didn't come off as like a negative Nancy. I just want to see it on the field. Yvette, you asked if I believe.
I don't think so at all. We're all have our own opinions.
Yeah. Like I totally believe. I do. I believe that what the Browns did this offseason is going to pay dividends in wins and losses this year. I just want to see it. That's all. I just want to see it.
Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, how many more times do you have to get burned?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's happening though.
We do have to land this plane because the Barking Brown Show with Jacob Roach and Nick Carnes is coming on next in just a couple minutes. This is the time in our show when I want to give our special guest the opportunity to give themselves a plug. Like, where can we find you on social media? Like, what are you doing? What are you promoting? The floor is yours, Yvette.
Oh, thank you so much. Is this thing on? Hey, guys, what's up? My name's Yvette. You can find me on social media everywhere. When you don't even want to find me, I'll still be there. You'll go on social media. You're not going to look for me. But here I am. Hi, guys. Yvette Laboy on Twitter. And I have Instagram now. And I have a website at bougiesports.com. If you go to my website, you'll be able to access all my social media. So thank you guys for having me on. And I appreciate it. so much.
Awesome. Well, it was great to have you on the show, Yvette. Maybe we can have you on when it is during fantasy football drafts, because I think you gave a lot of good insight tonight on players that we can be looking for to help our fantasy football teams in the 2023 season. I know for me, like, it's a big money league. Like I'm involved with one, for instance, with my brother-in-law that there's like money at stake and bragging rights. Like it'll make my Thanksgivings better
all day, all night, and all day.
So any help you can give us would be appreciated. Coltrane, any final thoughts on this show or the Browns offseason, what you're looking forward to?
I mean, just like I said, the Za'Darius Smith transaction just really shows me that Barry is going to be doing everything he can to create this team a monster, and he has. And I talked about it on pre-show. I think the front office has done their job. Now it's time for the team, the players, the personnel, and the coaches to do their thing. Because on paper, this is one of the most, Browns teams that I'm most proudest of in many years. I mean, on paper, I'm very proud of them, but I'm also, what you said earlier on the show, like, I don't like the hype, but, the hype's kind of 50-50 right now. But it's like, I do believe in these dudes. I believe in the roster. And I just think that Barry finally finalized this roster to where we all feel comfortable going forward for injuries, any type of that depth. So I feel really good about this team, man. Obviously, I hate the fact that we got 3 division rivals in the first 4 games. But, this team of any year, this team is made to compete with teams like that. And they are there to compete to the extra level. So I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to a great season. Just give me some wins.
I hope we have one. I hope we do. We have to. Cheers.
We all deserve wins, man.
Yeah.
We deserve weekly wins. I'm not talking about 1 win, 2 losses. Yeah. We deserve repetition wins. That's what I feel like we deserve, dude. I really do.
I hope we get it. You guys have the bar in October.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not gonna happen.
If
I told you guys we suck. I'm like, oh. I don't care. I always say that anyways.
Yvette, before we land this plane, any final thoughts about this show or this season coming up?
No, I just want to tell everyone to make sure that you subscribe to this podcast and every other podcast on Network 216. Those are my guys. I'm actually going to have a couple of the guys come up on my podcast. You guys have to come on my podcast as well.
That's a done deal.
Yeah,
love to.
I love you fantasy football in my house. How's
there
that?
There you go.
All righty.
Would love to. Yes.
Right? It's a day.
Yvette, thank you for reminding me. If you are watching this show and you're not subscribed to Network 216, please hit subscribe. Our goal is to get to 2,000 subscribers. We're really close. Really close. Yeah. It's going to help out this show and the network, and our sponsors would appreciate it. So let's go ahead and land this plane. Guys, thanks for joining the Yard Dawgs podcast. The Barking Browns show is coming up next. I like to end all of our shows with the Go Browns. So Yvette, Coltrane, if you'll join me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Browns!
Go Browns!